and let us all do we can to build a better future.
2024. It's going to be another election year. It's going to be another year in which we're going to be seeing everyone thinking that, oh, we need to be party loyalists. Everyone needs to vote Democrat or you need to vote Republican. This is where you're going to see the sycophants, the people in the abusive relationship for voting for the two-party system, telling all of you, you should not think critically. You should not vote independent or third party. You shouldn't fall in line and vote for Team Red or Team Blue. And as far as I'm concerned, I know my audience, you guys are better than me. That's right. I know all of you are smarter, you're stronger. And guess what? You have been burnt by electoral politics. Now, I like to tell people, guess what? If you don't want to vote, if you live in a ballot initiative state, support citizen ballot initiatives, at least if anything, if you're going to participate in elections, you don't have to vote for a politician because sadly, I think we're going to be bombarded with the same BS we saw in 2016 and in 2020. And I know a lot of us have some warm feelings or having the audacity of hope in 2016 and 2020. I was one of those people, but 2024 is going to be a repeat of that. And that's why Hardlands Media is telling all of you, pretend to be shocked when you see all the same propaganda being, once again, bombarding you. Now, what is the purpose of this segment? It's to talk about something that I saw on RBN where they're talking about the Bernie Sanders industrial complex, but also the fact of all this hype that's being built up around Marianne Williamson as being the first potential contender against Biden in the Democratic primary for 2024, potentially if there is going to be a Democratic primary. Now, we've seen Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic establishment all say that they're going to go for Biden, who's in his mid-80s. And at this point, look, you could debate me on this, but the facts are out there. Biden clearly has early onset dementia or Alzheimer's. There's something wrong. He is no spring chicken, and Kamala Harris is not a popular politician. So now there's talk about, well, what's going to happen in 2024? Shout out to Case Study QB. I don't know how you do it, buddy. I don't know how you sit through corporate media and are able to do these clips. But if you're not following Case Study QB, please do so. He also has his own original YouTube channel. He's still wrongly being censored by Twitter. So I want to start this off with a simp. I mean, a senator. Ha! Oops. I didn't do that on purpose. Senator Cory Booker was asked if he would run in 2024, to which he says the most cucked line I ever heard. And this is a lie. I'm not going to challenge one of the most successful presidents in my lifetime. Successful president. The kids are still in cages, money for war, inflation. Americans are losing and being evicted from their homes and apartments, small businesses being shut down. We have climate crisis. We have environmental crisis. We have a crumbling infrastructure. We have political corruption, politicians doing insider trading. Yeah. And plus, this is the president who said he was against busing and desegregation. He was on the wrong side of history for the civil rights movement. He was against women's reproductive rights. And speaking of women's reproductive rights, Roe v. Wade died under a Democratic administration, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's administration. But okay, hey, none of you have to believe me. Let's hear the words from Senator Cory Booker.
It appears very, very much that the president is going to run for re-election, and yet you had someone who was on the bill with you in the last primary, and Marianne Williamson. She is now running. She's the only declared Democrat in this race. Are you interested in eventually running again for president?
I'm not going to challenge one of the most successful presidents in my lifetime in terms of what he's actually got done for the state of New Jersey and for our nation. We've gone.
What a cock.
Through infrastructure, most successful presidents in my lifetime in terms of.
Sorry, we're going to hear that again.
Most successful presidents in my lifetime.
Actually running again for president?
I'm not going to challenge one of the most successful presidents in my lifetime in terms of what he's actually got done for the state of New Jersey and for our nation. We've gone through infrastructure, science and technology, bipartisan bills, and everything from guns. So I'm not running in 24 if Joe Biden is running. Have I said that I will not look to the future? I'm telling you right now, my goal in life is to put more indivisible back into this one nation under God to help unify this country. And so we'll see about the future.
Yeah. All right. So in other words, he's just giving you BS. That's what's going on. So there's already now talk of who's going to challenge Biden. And Marianne Williamson made that announcement. Now, the thing is, I think a lot of people are trying to manufacture or build up the hype of somebody challenging the establishment. I mean, at this point, Bernie Sanders, he's no spring chicken either. But the way RBN brought this up, which is the Bernie Sanders industrial complex, I mean, it is interesting because the one thing I've noticed in 2016 and 2020, and this is just my perspective, I know RBN went into more detail about their thoughts on the Bernie Sanders industrial complex, but all these great activists and organizers and groups that came out behind the Bernie Sanders campaign in 2016 and 2020, eventually it just started to melt in and be absorbed by the Democratic establishment to create more money and to get people to be, herded into voting for the Democratic establishment. And since Bernie has made it very clear that he's not going to run if Biden's going to be the nominee, there needs to be a buildup for somebody new. And perhaps Marianne Williamson is this manufactured person to be that new person, which, again, we saw her run in 2020. It wasn't a stellar campaign. It was interesting to hear her speak on the debate stage. But I've been noticing much more larger, affluent, independent media networks trying to promote her as the new best big thing ever. And I just don't see it happening. It's all about the dollars for these politicians, fundraiser, money, making promises, and getting people to be suckered in. Millennials were suckered in with Bernie Sanders, and now Gen Z and millennials as well, but other voters, other generations are trying to be suckered in to voting Team Democrat. Because let's face it, Trump has made it very clear he's going to be running again in 2024, and we'll be talking about that later on the show. But when you don't offer anything new, and you're just going to try and calm people down or give them platitudes, it tells me again that the Democrats and all these new politicians that are rising out of the woodworks to tell you to vote Democrat will offer you nothing and leave you where you're at. In fact, they'll probably make you live a far more brutal, harsher life because nothing has fundamentally changed under the Biden-Harris administration. What's the difference for a quote-unquote progressive running in the Democratic Party? I want to pull up this video here from Case Study QB where there's talk about the announcement of Marianne Williamson running as a potential new challenger.
Right now, Marianne Williamson announcing her candidacy at an event in Washington, D.C. The author and spiritual advisor first ran in 2020, but dropped out before the primaries. Want to bring in Lindy Lee, a member of the DNC's National Finance Committee, along with MSNBC.
Hold on. I got to acknowledge this in the live stream chat. Ryan Clark, buddy, you're number one. Right now, you have my favorite comment. The Toxic Avenger got more done for New Jersey, and he's not even real. Absolutely. But first of all, how do you know that, Ryan Clark? Toxie's always been part of us. Toxie's in us all.
Political analyst and Republican strategist Susan Del Percio as well. Welcome to you both, guys. Thanks for joining us on this. Lindy, let me just start with you on this one, and wondering if you feel as if, because of this announcement now coming on from Marianne Williamson, that it will kind of put Biden in the hot seat, the president in the hot seat, to officially announce that he is running for re-election.
Yes, and thank you so much for having me. I don't consider Marianne Williamson to be much of a threat. She's a spiritual advisor and a 2020 also ran who may not even make the debate stage, let's be honest. I think the best way to handle her is not to address her at all, because I don't think...
Gee, you would think corporate media would have done that to Trump in 2016 after he was making lies after lies, but never forget what the head of CBS once said. The words that Trump say are bad for America, but it's good for CBS. He got billions of dollars of free press. Obviously, corporate media, you could have done your job, but you didn't. And you did a successful job in, derailing the Bernie Sanders campaign, not once, but twice. So, yeah, they'll probably do the same job, too, towards Marianne Williamson, because let's face it, the same people who control our politicians also control our media. And look, Marianne Williamson, good luck in running in the Democratic primary, but you're going to get slapped around. Look what they did to Nina Turner in Ohio. Look at how the entire Congressional Progressive Caucus simps for the Democratic establishment. Look at what they did to Bernie Sanders. I mean, if you're in this for the money and to promote your image, fine. Go ahead, slay. But the old progressive legions that were there for Bernie in 2016 and 2020 are not going to form up because, unfortunately, we all saw firsthand how the Democratic establishment and the quote-unquote progressive Democrats view us as pawns. They're not going to do anything to improve our lives. So all the best to you. But in all reality, you should kind of maybe consider running third party. But then again, hey, got to get close to the Democrats, got to build your name up, right?
Many people consider her to be a major Democrat, and age is a concern for some for Biden, but she's 70 years old. So she doesn't exactly.
Okay, first of all, look, again, just comment on the age part, okay? She's 70. Biden has some health issues. Trust me, I've seen it firsthand with senior citizens, okay? There's something wrong with him up there. He's not all there. He's Mr. Magoo.
They represent a new generation of leadership either. And she has no platform to speak of other than some nebulous Department of Peace. And so she's not a threat to Biden. And I think many Democrats are rallying behind the president. He has been able to overcome historic headwinds like high inflation and the historical trends against the party in the White House. He's passed tremendous legislation like the Inflation Reduction Act and the bipartisan.
But let's have democracy in the chat. Hey, that Inflation Reduction Act, are you feeling it? Or are you still paying an arm and a leg for a gallon of milk, carton of eggs, a gallon of gas? Type 1 if everything's all hunky-dory and everything's good for you and you don't have inflation. No way. Everything's fine. Type 2, I'm bleeding out here and no one's helping me.
Partisan infrastructure bill. So Democrats are more or less willing to give him a second chance. The stakes are so high. We simply cannot afford another 4 years of Trump.
4 years of Trump, nothing has fundamentally changed. Nothing has fundamentally changed. Nothing has fundamentally changed. And here's how I know that the Democrats and any potential challenger towards Biden are not serious either. I want to pull up this clip here, and I want to give a proper shout out to this person too, because they got this little clip here. It's only 30 seconds, but I'm going to say something controversial at the end of it, though. So there's going to be a controversial statement, but I want to add in some humor, but it's a controversial statement. So no one cancel me, but you know, I'm just going to make a controversial statement here. Controversial statement. So this individual here, Ashok, I hope I said your name right, goes by, again, his Twitter handle is Broseph Stalin, saying, I'm going to go no for Marianne Williamson for president. Now, why? Listen to this story, folks. And I got my own comments at the end of it, too.
I don't know. You might not. I want to tell you this. I was in Israel, and I was talking to some Israeli and Palestinian peacemakers. And I said, I'm telling you the truth. I said, well, you know.
When you say I'm telling you the truth, that's how you know there's a lie, or this story sounds like BS. And if it is real, I would pay good money to see the reaction of everyone's in that room, everyone's facial reaction, just to take a photo of it.
The Great Mother doesn't choose sides. According to Avatar, the Great Mother doesn't choose sides. She's there to protect balance.
Yes.
She doesn't pick a winner. She protects balance. And
Yes.
Do you know what the Palestinian and the Israelis in the room, do you know their reaction?
What they say. They thought about it.
They
That's
nodded.
good.
And I think it was because some of them had seen Avatar.
Right here. Right here. Right here for that. That is the dumbest thing ever. You're gonna attach a geopolitical event to a film. And look, I think Avatar is a very well done film. Graphics are nice. Heard there's a sequel and everything, but you know, what the hell? All right, you're just gonna make a comment like the Great Mother, a fictional character from a movie called Avatar, right? People are dying, and you're gonna compare that. But you know, let's all the best to Marianne Williamson, all the best, right? But here's my controversial statement, just my 2 cents. You know, it's gonna deviate off course. The humans in Avatar did nothing wrong. Okay, there you go. we'll be moving on. Before we do, I just want to play one last video. I can't wait to see the look of the live stream audience. What do you mean, Kit? The humans of Avatar did nothing wrong. The humans in Avatar in both films did nothing wrong. Just like how Alderaan had it coming. All right, so there you go. I want to pull one last video here, and this probably should tell all of you how the Biden administration is trying to, I guess, make sure that their ship won't sink fully. And it's in regards towards how they're viewing potential rivals or making them rivals as advisors for 2024. Because the Democrats want to hold on to their, well, Biden as their go-to guy. Because there's some things wrong with good old Joe Biden. Let's look at this list. Shout out to Case Study QB. He's enlisting potential rivals. You got Ro Khanna, Elizabeth Warren, Gavin Newsom. Hey, my Governor J.B. Pritzker, Gretchen Whitmire of Michigan, Wes Moore of Maryland, Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, and Phil Murphy of New Jersey. So shout out again to Case Study QB. How you're sitting through corporate media, it's a miracle.
Tyler, you've got some new reporting for the Washington Post that President Biden is amassing a large advisory board ahead of his 2024 decision. Tell us a little bit about the board in terms of how it's helping him make potential policy decisions. But really, what's the subtext here in terms of the looming campaign and any possible primary challenges?
Yeah, that's right. I think the subtext here is quite important. It's not unusual for the leader of a party to put together, a sort of super surrogate program of the top figures in their party to be part of a campaign to support the president in terms of travel, fundraising, speaking out, and being on the same message. But I think what's really important here as we look at who's part of this board, from governors like Newsom, Gavin Newsom in California, J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, Phil Murphy in New Jersey, Elizabeth Warren in the Senate, Ro Khanna in the House. These are all influential party leaders who have either run or could run for president in the future. And as the president and his team put together this advisory board, it's a clear message that, one, he's running for re-election, but two, they want to tamp down on any potential dissent or criticism as he launches and then pursues a bid for the re-election bid. And so this is part of that effort to get everyone on the same page.
So what he's also saying too, and what all of you are probably all too well aware of, is that probably the Biden-Harris administration gave some little, tasty morsels to appease potential rivals that would challenge the Biden-Harris administration because, again, they're not that popular. Trump's going to be running again, and they haven't, let's be clear, they haven't changed anything. Nothing fundamentally changed. And the Biden-Harris administration wants to build a strong coalition to try and take on Trump. And again, these words here are not an endorsement of Trump, but they know that they have a very flawed administration, and the Democratic establishment is doing everything it can to make sure that, voters aren't horribly divided, or they're going to have a bitter, divided primary fight.
Ensure that people aren't speaking out of turn when it comes to his political future, the president's political future, that is, and have everyone united as they move into what is likely to be a divisive election, as we've seen over the last few cycles.
Keep your friends close and your potential political rivals closer. That seems to be the message here from the White House. The Washington Post's Tyler Pager, terrific reporting, and thank you.
Yes, so that's what's happening. The Democrats want to just make this false image of everything's hunky-dory, everything's nice and squared away. But let's be clear here. We know that there are some huge issues and some problems with the Biden-Harris administration. We know that the Democrats are doing everything they can to make sure that they have their guy. They want to appease people and make them happy. So, what can we take away from this? 2024 will be another clown show, and if you really want to make a difference, Don't vote Republican. Don't vote Democrat. Support independents. Vote third party. Support citizen ballot initiatives. If you live in a citizen ballot initiative state, find out, know your rights as a voter, and start help build movements and organizations not connected to Washington, D.C., because so long as you waste your vote voting for Democrats and Republicans, they'll continue to abuse you, screw you over, and keep on working for their number one constituent, not the American people, but the top 1%. This isn't some random statement. It's a goddamn fact. The Democratic Party and Republican Party do not like you, they do not think about you, and they do not respect you.